All right, let's get into this thing. 5 through 1. We're going to start at 5, work our way up to number 1. Number 1's a little spicy, so we can have some conversations about that. But number 5 might be spicy as well. I'm starting with Cade Klubnik, and these are guys that we've all watched in their 2024 tape over the last few weeks since the last draft ended back in late April. And these are guys that we're going to rank. We'll give you some comps, some draft ranges, and we'll go from there. So Cade Klubnik, excuse me, 6'2", 210 pounds. He'll be a junior this year. I have him as a mid-day 2 pick, so late second, early third, and ran my comp for him as Bo Nix. I know you don't love him as much as I do. I think he's tough. He's actually a good athlete, and I looked it up. He was a 200-meter guy in high school, not just a guy out there messing around. He was like 93rd percentile among all guys running the 200, so he has a little juice in the open field. I think he has a pretty good arm for his size. I wanted to see him do a better job of getting through his reads, but we have that conversation about a lot of these young guys. And I thought he got better as the season went on, and I thought he was a really good deep ball passer. Now, I had him 5. I believe you had him 9 on your list after watching the same 15 guys that I watched. So give me your early July 1st scouting report on Cade Klubnik, who's getting some first-round buzz.
Oh yeah, he's getting a lot of buzz, and I know a lot of guys that really, really like him. I've talked to some scouts around the league, and there are some that potentially have him as a top quarterback, in this class. And I don't refute it, but just in the games I watched, which was Georgia, South Carolina, and Texas, I just didn't see a lot that made, like I said yesterday, like jump off the tape. You hit it on the head. I thought that he was okay working through his progressions, but I thought he got a little antsy when he had to work from 1 to 3. It's easy to drop back, get the ball out when number 1 is open, but when you have to stand there and in process, and I don't think it's a processing issue. I just think it's one of those deals. You see him drifting in the pocket, when he feels or perceives pressure. And I don't want to take a shot at the kid because it's still too early. One of the big questions for me that came away was, how tough is he? Because you watch some of these other quarterbacks, the John Mateers and the Sam Levitts. Those guys will stand there staring down the barrel of the gun and deliver the ball knowing that they're about to get hit. And I felt like I saw, too many fadeaway throws from Cade. And then, again, I'm big on looking at quarterbacks' third down percentage in terms of conversion rates. And then from there, you could break it down in terms of down and distance. So I still want to go back and study, that a little bit more on him. But, I did see progression as the season went. But again, if you go back and you watch the Georgia game, the South Carolina, and the Texas game, all good defenses, all NFL caliber players, I just didn't see a QB1 in my opinion.
Yeah, the Georgia game was the first game of the year. That was hyped up because it was Carson Beck at the time who was QB1 for a lot of folks. The South Carolina game came down to the end, and I think Clemson, it was close. I can't remember who won that game, but it was close. And then, of course, the Texas game was the last game of the season for Clemson. It was in the playoffs there versus Quinn Ewers on the other side. 6'2", 210. Bo Nix was my comp. I want to hear your thoughts on whether you like that comp or don't like it, and certainly if you don't like it, I'm okay with that. But 6'2", 210, do you have to be special in certain categories, or is that tall enough to be a successful NFL quarterback if you're just, I don't want to say Brock Purdy average, but Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, and he's made the most of his opportunities, but he's not 6'5", 235 either.
Yeah, and honestly, man, I really think I think the guys that are 6'5" are now the new anomaly. Right, because in our day when we were coming up, like to play quarterback, you had to be 6'4" was considered short, and now I think 6'2" is, if you look at averages, is probably the average is 6'2". I think Aaron Rodgers is 6'2". I think I did see some measurables on him. I think he was right at 6'0", so a smidge under 6'2". But that was probably with no shoes on. So you don't play football with shoes without shoes. So I don't think his height will be an issue for him at all, though.
What about Bo Nix as a comp? Because let me actually, before you answer that, tell me what you thought about Bo Nix coming out his last year at Oregon too, because there were mixed opinions. I think everyone outside of Denver maybe was shocked he went 12th overall. I thought he was a second round guy. I liked him, and I thought he made improvements out of Auburn. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I didn't like the Bo Nix comp because I felt like a guy like Sam Levitt felt more like Bo Nix to me.
Oh, okay.
If I had to say a comp off the top of my head, it was probably closer to Jaxson Dart. And from a play style, not necessarily size, because Dart is bigger.
Yeah.
But again, like the size isn't the 6'1.5" or 6'1 7/8". It's not gonna make much of a difference out there. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Aaron Rodgers is 6'2".
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Right. And arm angles are important. The ability to find the holes between the tackles, between the guards, to find those lanes, that's also important. And we'll see what sort of progress Cade makes from last season to this season. I think things are encouraging the way last season ended for him. He plays, obviously, and Lincoln Riley's brother, whose name escapes me, in his offense as the OC at Clemson. We know about Dabo Sweeney. And that team has a chance to be pretty good. They're going to have, I mean, we've talked about it. They could have 5 or 6 guys drafted. They got some dudes on defense. They got some receivers that can play. So there'll be opportunities for Cade to have success, and it's just a matter of him taking advantage of it. The other thing I wanted to tell you real quick, I looked it up real quick. He's an Austin, Texas guy. He holds a Westlake High School record for career passing yards and touchdowns, and that's more than alumni's Drew Brees, Nick Foles, and Sam Ehlinger. So he can spin it a little bit. He was a 5-star coming out. We'll see what that means in the 2025 season in his draft prospects. But arrow pointing up for me on Cade. I think Rand wants to see a little bit more.